Welcome back to Talkin Shift. We have Jim Neuenfeldt on the podcast, and today we're going to answer the question, where did Parish go? Thanks for...
I'm right here.
Exactly.
I didn't go anywhere.
Exactly. But I've had that question over the last 15 to 20 years, and I'm like, well, he's building this car. He's been racing this. He's on our channel every once in a while. Here he is. Like, oh, that's Parish. Okay. So why don't we talk about that? Where did the name Parish come from?
Oh, that's a little bit embarrassing. I was seeing a girl, and it was like fairly new to getting on the internet, and I was there with her and her kids, and I signed it on, and I had to put a name in, and I'm like, well, I use their last name, so I'm going around with an ex-girlfriend's last name for all this time, and
as your message board name.
Yeah.
And for the people that haven't been watching the channel for a long time, like if you're 20 years old, you may not know who Parish is, but the infamous blue turbo truck that was just destroying people on the streets, one of my favorite videos I saw back before I started hanging out with you. It's just like epic. So we're going to dive into some of the history, but I always think that's funny.
Back then, people didn't use their real name.
Yeah.
Everything was, something else.
Don't trust the internet.
Yeah. But now you use your own name generally. And so it seems kind of weird to use something else. Why would you put that extra step in there?
Yeah.
So,
and that was around the same time that I started doing videos for 1320 Video, like early 2000, right? When you created that name.
Yep.
And you were just getting into the truck world back then. And you're on LS1 Tech, what performance trucks. What were some of the other message boards you remember?
There was another LS1 something. So there were two LS1 boards. And then after a couple of years, there was the performance trucks.
Yep.
So that's usually where I hung out. And then some local boards.
Yep.
Like Star City Racing, Omaha Racing, or whatever they were called.
Any street scene.
Yeah.
Throwback to the message board days. Sometimes I miss them.
I think they were better.
Yeah?
I miss them a lot.
Better than social media?
Mm-hmm.
There was a little more of a long-term conversation there.
Yeah. Stuff would, you could start a conversation and carry it on for years sometimes. It would, people would hop in and ask new questions, and you could start a build thing on your vehicle.
Yeah, that was really popular.
Carry it on for years.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody could see, where you started and where you're at today, and it would go on forever. Now you post something up and it blows up for half a day, and then it's just gone.
Yeah, you can get 500,000 views
instantly,
and then everybody forgets.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Everyone wants instant gratification, instant news today.
Yeah, I've kind of, I'm sure you do this, but you got to post, like, you can't post on Sunday. Nobody's looking at the internet. You got to wait till everybody's at work. And if you want to get that gratification, you post, Monday at 10 a.m. where everybody's at work and they're looking at their phone. And they're not supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you get way more reaction.
Didn't used to be like that.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of started 1320 Video, was message boards. And that's how you got your notoriety early on, was to these message boards, because there was no MySpace, there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube. You just had to push it out and hope the links got sent through email or text message to friends.
Yeah.
Whole different world. What was, so your, getting into the truck scene, did you modify cars before you got into the boosted trucks?
I've always been into cars, but I wasn't any good at it. Back when everything was carbureted, it wasn't very scientific, or at least I didn't understand it enough to learn and, make steps and make stuff faster. Once everything was fuel injected, and then once you had the ability to change, to tune stuff, that's when I really got into it.
Unlocked a whole new world.
Yep. When there was like LS1 edit and stuff like that. And then, eventually HP tuners.
LS1 edit. I forgot about that.
Yeah. When that came out and you could start, modifying your tune, it was like a whole new world. And you could do anything at that point.
When did that come out? Late 1990s?
Yeah, maybe 2000. I don't even know.
Huh.
I probably wasn't into it when it first came out either. I don't know.
What was the first modified vehicle that you messed with?
For fuel injected stuff?
Just anything.
Oh, well, I had stuff in high school. I had like a Skyhawk with like a bird on the hood. and it had a 3.8 V6, and I put
Skyhawk.
I put headers and a giant carburetor and oversized tires, and and it was probably 16-second car. I don't know.
What was a Skyhawk? What kind of car?
It's like a Monza.
Oh,
Only it was a Buick version.
Okay, like there we go.
Yeah, that's it.
A Buick Monza.
Yeah,
Very ugly.
no,
Nice.
it was ugly.
So you could turn some screws for fuel and change the timing. That was all you got.
Well, what was cool about them and the Monzas is they held a V8.
Yep.
So some of them came
In a
with
tiny car.
Yeah, you could get one with like a 240 or 262, I think. But then you could swap it for a 400 or whatever you want.
Sure.
So, they were pretty fast, but by then, fast was probably maybe 13s if you're lucky. I don't really know.
Which is funny because when I first started hanging out with you, a 10-second vehicle on the streets was insane.
Yeah.
What was the first EFI vehicle you tinkered with?
I think it was my truck.
Okay.
The Pewter
truck.
The Pewter 99. So
99 Chevy.
Yep.
Crew cab.
I think I started by throwing a 6-liter in there and then a Whipple. And at some point I put some nitrous on it too to get it out of the hole.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing just ripped out of the hole. It would turn over all 4 tires, and I don't know. I don't remember what it ran, but I do remember going to the road race. Well, the drag race on the road course.
Oh, the arm drop drags?
When they first started doing
really?
that. And I met Bama there.
Oh,
and,
man.
that started our rivalry,
Mm-hmm.
which was just awesome. And
what message board was that?
Omaha Racing, maybe?
No, there was a separate GM Modern Muscle. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
So to connect a few things, have you guys ever seen an engine with the exhaust going into the intake? It says DEI on it, direct exhaust injection. That came from that message board. It ended up blowing up over the internet. But there was a fun rivalry with Parish and Bama. Bama had a 3rd gen?
No. 4th, I guess it'd be.
Oh, yeah, F-body.
It was like 2000
That's
or
right,
something.
yeah. And the Pewter pickup, which I think I did see you guys race. I actually helped start the arm drop drags there. Me and some friends flagged hundreds of races every night there, but that was some good times before the drag strip got built.
Yep.
I didn't know you were there for that. That's crazy.
Oh, that was so much fun. It really felt like the street.
Yeah.
Without, getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So
then they built the drag strip, and then the rest is history. So when did you transition over to the regular cab?
Well, the Pewter trucks, it was running pretty good, and I knew I wanted a turbo, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go shop for the exact vehicle that I want, knowing that I'm gonna put a turbo on it. So I wanted a regular cab, short box, all-wheel drive, and I found one, and it was just a year old, and stuff was so cheap. I bought a 1-year-old pickup for like $14,000.
Oh my God.
Way back then.
Have you looked at the prices of those lately?
No.
Oh my gosh.
And
like 25 for one without rust.
Yeah. That's crazy.
All-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive.
And like within a week, I had nitrous on it, and I was taking it to the track. And I'm pretty sure I ran like a 12.5, like immediately.
What was the quickest in the Pewter truck with the supercharger and nitrous?
I don't remember. I don't think it was that fast though. And I sprayed that blue truck like a week for me, right out of the hole. When being all-wheel drive, it really reacted. And like I said, it was like into the 12s right away, which just blew me away. I'm like, that's really fast.
Probably quite a bit lighter than your old truck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then just kept adding stuff. So within, I don't know, a year, I probably had turbos and everything else.
You started with a single, right? Or did you start with twins?
I ordered a pre-made kit from, I don't remember what it was called. Someplace in Vegas had a kit for it.
I remember that.
And it was a single 76 with like a 3-inch downpipe and a super basic kit.
Yep.
And then after that, I started doing my own stuff. I wanted a bigger downpipe. So I figured out how to make one and, bought a Harbor Freight welder and did that.
Learn. Did you know welding before that, or you just picked it up on your own?
I'd use a stick welder to weld some farm stuff together, but nothing race car related.
Huh.
And I'm no pro, but But I can make functional parts. They're just not very pretty. And so, a bigger downpipe made a big difference. And then at some point, we put an 88 on there, single 88. And I think you might have been there.
Yes.
When we went to the dyno with the 88.
Yes.
And like the first night at the dyno, I think we maxed that turbo out. We took it to, it was on a big engine, so it was a ton of torque. It was like 1,000 some foot-pounds and like 700 horsepower or something. Like the very first time we tuned it.
I was watching some of the dyno videos, and at the beginning of one of them, it was like, Parish is going to the dyno again. It's like your 15th time in the dyno, and this is the previous record holder, the first Chevy pickup with 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. Like all these little records that you were accumulating along the way.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
And you're a tinkerer, so it wasn't like go from this stage to this stage right away. Like this took years, as you're talking about this, to progress to how fast you were. Like,
well, that's what's so much fun about a turbo is, you're never done. It's always, well, it held 15 pounds. So next time we go to the track, let's try 17 pounds. And you just keep bumping it until it doesn't do anything or until something breaks. And then you bump it some more. So that's a lot harder to do with a blower.
Yes.
It's a lot harder.
You only have so many pulleys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at the peak of the setup, what was it? Twin 60?
72s. Which never really used them.
Was it the GTS 70 turbos?
I think it was GTS. I thought it was 72.
Okay. So you might have upgraded after this. I found this screenshot in one of the videos I made of the setup.
Well, that's probably right then.
Yeah. GTS 70s, twin tile. And this is from 2005 is when, so it's literally 20 years ago that this setup was, because you sold it when? 07?
I don't know.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Man, that's fast because that truck was in 03.
Yeah.
So, and it was a year old when I got it. So that means I went from a 76 to an 88 to twin 70s all in like a year and a half or something.
That is pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
It seems like it was over 3, but
it does.
NX Nitrous Kit, Combination Motorsports. That's what it was.
Yep.
Who made the 408? They were in Vegas. Or they were.
It seems like they're in Vegas, and I think that's where I got the turbo kit originally, the single.
Finish Line Transmission. I ran into him at PRI or SEMA this year. 4L80 Nitto drag radials. Pretty awesome. So let's talk about the craze of the truck on the internet. This didn't happen all overnight, but you started posting these videos riding around with Dan and editing videos on yourself and on your site. And I was like, dang, these guys are doing some really cool stuff.
I met Dan. I was talking some crap on, I don't know which one.
Probably
it was.
GM Modern Muscle. That's
I think it was.
Talking happened.
I think it was. And first I posted up and asked about racing because I just wanted to race somebody. And everybody calls you out, thinks you're a cop or whatever. I don't know if that was just a running joke or if they really thought
back then, I think people were a lot more apprehensive.
Yeah.
Never know.
And so like Saturday afternoon, Dan was like, well, let's go race. So just didn't even know him. We just met up on some random street. and I was watching the kid at the time, and he was like 8 years old. Melissa was at work. So I'm like, well, I got to take the kid. So me and Dan, who's 8, go out and find Dan Delgado and race him in his Camaro.
Oh, no kidding.
And it was hilarious because I just ripped him off the line. I was like 3 cars in front of him, right out of the hole. And my stepson Dan's just looking out the window, and he's like, "Bye-bye." No, you can't do that. That's rude. And then after that, me and Dan Delgado hung out all the time.
Yeah.
And he was awesome at lineup races.
Good at instigating.
Yeah. You'd meet up, and there'd be 100 people in a parking lot, and you'd stand around all night long. Nothing would happen. And Delgado would just be like, "All right, who's running?" And just get things going.
It's a skill.
He was good at it.
You got to get people going. But the funniest thing was it was for the first probably almost a year. It had stock wheels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you pull up at a stoplight and it wasn't very loud. I think you had cutouts.
Oh, it was quiet.
Yeah.
I even had the Firestone tires on it.
Yes.
I did drag week with Firestones and ran like 1040s, I think, with the Firestones on there.
Holy cow.
And it was 4-wheel drive, but I lowered it an inch, so it just looked like a normal 2-wheel drive half-ton truck with the stock wheels and stock tires.
Yeah. So it was literally a sleeper.
Yeah.
And like you really helped ignite the full-size truck craze back then. There weren't many people boosting trucks like that. I mean, there's some diesel performance stuff, but those are slower. They're heavier. There wasn't really anybody out there doing it like you were.
I think
I could tell. Turbos
in general were pretty new.
Yep.
And then to put one on a truck, I think that was new. And then having all that, with a little bit of nitrous, you could rip off the line with all-wheel drive and just kill everybody on the street.
Yeah.
So
that was the advantage.
Fast cars. Remember Judd? Everybody was like, oh, that guy's just so fast. And he was pretty fast. But my truck would just hang with him. And if I'd likely get him out of the hole by half a car or a car, and he may or may not catch up. And that was one of the fastest cars around that would go out on the street.
He was the guy
to
beat.
Yeah.
Him and the WS6, Seth.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Mick, he was a wild animal on the street.
You better have your earplugs in.
Yeah, no kidding. But back then, like I was saying earlier, 11-second, 10-second car on the street was unheard of.
Yeah.
And so I loved getting together with the GM Modern Muscle guys. That was like where all the fast guys hung out and having the street days. I still remember watching you and Judd from like, what's the Skateland or the body shop, whatever, above the hill, just watching you guys disappear neck and neck.
That was fun.
But the street racing is what really got me attracted to what you were doing with the truck. And then I asked to hop in with you for a night to go find people to race. And it was hilarious. Like everyone's like, you want to race me in a truck?
Right.
Huh? Pull up next to a bike, pull up next to whatever.
5-liter Mustang, Corvette, 600RR, just everybody. And they're like, huh? What do you mean? And then they're like, well, all right, I'll race you. And then we just kill them.
Yep.
Wasn't even close.
Do you have any favorite reactions you remember? It's been 20 years.
Oh, favorites? I don't know. There was, I think we were together.
Surprise people.
Yeah, just everybody that was surprised. And then almost everybody's cool. They're like, oh my God, that was so awesome. What'd you do to that thing? So, Almost everybody.
There's a certain Mustang that I remember that the famous, there's so many videos I wanted to find on the internet. They were all on Street Fire or on your server or on my server back then. So there's not much online, but there's this one infamous clip where a friend pulls up and he wants to race, and there's been all this shit talking online. And you're like, all right, I'm ready. It's like, I'm not racing uphill. Yeah. You're like, why not?
and then when I did kill him, he was like, I didn't turn my nitrous on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let's do it again. And then he saw the camera and he got upset.
Yeah.
And threatened me to not put that on the internet. And of course, we went home and put it on the internet immediately. And everybody was like, man, that guy's a douchebag. It was so funny. But he really got mad and threatened me and whatever.
Yeah. Racing's not that serious, especially in Nebraska.
Yeah.
You just line up and have fun.
I ran into him a few times later, and he had chilled out a lot.
Yep, same. I agree.
I don't know what he's doing these days.
Not that one. I think that might be Judd. Let's see it. Sleeper. This is we have a video. I think it's our 2 million subscriber video. That's Judd's truck or car. Sorry.
This is a good race.
One of my favorite cars to film street racing back then.
I'm looking over at his shift light as we're racing.
Look at that. Just glued. He's just barely pulling. Oh my gosh. So Judd had a nitrous small block Ford Fox body or notch, I think, and always a good race. And he'd run high 9s, mid 10s at the track.
Probably. Yep.
I forget, depending on how much nitrous he was running.
I'm sure he got out of the hole better at the track. So that was my advantage. I'd get him a little out of the hole, and then he'd have to catch me.
The street advantage, but he didn't pull on you too much there about a car.
Yeah, it was making some power, especially for 2004 or whatever it was.
Yeah, but this was riding with you, doing the street racing videos of the truck really created a lot of buzz around your truck, around my channel, and so like that was an initial push that really got me out there and got you out there. You already had your name out there with your videos you were making with Dan. And I was hosting him on the server at my university for free. My friend was the server admin's assistant. And then you had your server that you were hosting him on because there was nowhere else to put it, right? You had to pay for server space and bandwidth.
I had to pay. And if you had something popular, it would eat up all your bandwidth in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it was okay. You knew what you used and you paid for it, but then something would get popular and it was expensive.
Yes.
So
it's a funny thing to think about now because now we have YouTube. You just plug it in and if it gets 10 million views, whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You don't think of that. You hopefully make some money off of it, but back then it just cost you money.
The run with the I'm not going to race uphill guy. That thing, I saw it get shared on various servers, not mine.
But, it got re-uploaded.
Yeah, somebody else was hosting it. And
that was the thing. People would download it because they knew it was going to run out of bandwidth, and then they'd put it somewhere else so they could share it again.
And I remember seeing like within a week, I could track like 800,000 views. It was a lot. And I think I ran out at like, 50,000 views or something. I was out of space. But I was able to figure out, and you could look at your data on your website and see who was watching.
Yes.
And you could
I remember you sending me those stats.
You could go to the websites where people were watching, and then you'd see that my link didn't work anymore. So then somebody else would post it, and then you could follow that.
That's right.
And I spent a lot of time just, seeing what people were saying because it's fun.
So I ended up having a video. I don't know if you were there with the Z06 and the WRX that raced, and some girl flash started it. Cops got called. Drug dogs were scratching people's cars up. We were all blocked in a parking lot for like an hour. That video got like millions of views and shut down the UNO dorm servers because my server was like the whole network was down. I think that's when I hit you up about hosting videos because I couldn't have it there anymore.
Yeah.
And so I helped pay for server space on yours. And then you would send me the stats of like where things were at because I didn't have that before. It was really fun to watch where the links got spread to.
Yeah.
It was just crazy to watch it. And now you don't really have that anymore. You have sources, but it was a whole different world.
Well, on Facebook, you could see shares.
Yeah.
And follow those. So that's something.
Yeah. Just a little different. Like the message boards were the main thing, though. All different message boards. And when I would post things, I would have the PHPBB code and then the UBB code. There's like the two different message boards. So I'd post them in different, whatever. Speaking of servers, there was a video in 2004 or 5 down in Orlando Speed World, World Street Nationals. You remember that race? I went down with Brian Smith. The year after this video was posted, there was all these crazy wrecks and fires and wheelies, and that video was downloaded so many times. He had a $25,000 server bill in 1 month.
Wow.
And when I went there the next year, he had the bill up on his wall as like a trophy of how many, and that's what really popularized that event back then was all the crazy social media.
So it didn't just run out, just kept.
No, I guess
charging
not.
more.
I guess it was an unlimited bandwidth and just kept charging him.
Ouch.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't social media; it was the server back then. But it in the end, he made way more than $25,000 off that video because he was charging $75 for a weekend pass to get into the track and selling that place out. It was a really cool race.
I think I'm not going to race uphill it's on YouTube somewhere.
Is it?
I remember spending some time one day and I was able to find it. So I don't remember what I used for search.
That was an entertaining video. So the progression of the truck was somewhat slow, but it was very fast. Like you're always tinkering with that thing every weekend. And were you like you were one of the bigger known Mega Squirt users back then, like back when that platform was starting to get big. Mm-hmm. And did you do your tuning back then, or were you just kind of learning at that point?
Well, there was something weird with the fuel. I don't think you could put big injectors into the LS1 Edit or whatever we had. For whatever reason, we had to use Mega Squirt to tune it.
Gotcha.
And it made it easier, so we just piggybacked the stock computer for some stuff.
That's right.
And
so ignition was on the stock computer, maybe?
Ignition was on the stock computer at least, maybe forever.
Yeah.
And then we had fueling on the Mega Squirt, and Diesel Geek sorted all that out. And, and that's when I really got into it. So I guess you could say he got me started on it. I was doing little stuff, like shift points and rev limiter and whatever.
I remember you showed me the real time tuning, and that was my first introduction to what tuning was. And we would spend hours and hours and hours at the dyno trying to make that magic number or see what the next goodie did to the combo.
I've always been like with that truck. Once I got to the twin turbo thing, I've always got to be thinking about what's next. To me, that's the fun part, is planning it and doing the work. I mean, it must be because I spend a lot of time in the garage. And getting out and having fun with it, that's just something on top of the other fun.
Interesting.
So you got to do some of that. But like when I go to the drag strip with my current drag car, I have fun with that. But I think the funner part is building the car and planning the car and going to the dyno all the time with it.
Interesting.
So
never really thought of it that way.
Well, I mean, you spend so much time working on it, I must like doing it.
Yeah, of course.
And as you get older,
you just have to do something with it eventually, so then you go floor it.
Yeah. But as you get older, you're like, you think about, this is probably as good as it gets. 10 years from now, probably won't be as good as today. I need to enjoy whatever it is I'm doing.
Yeah.
So if
things evolve so fast, too.
If I'm out there wrenching on the car, I'm like, this needs to be fun. And once you think of it that way, you're like, it is fun.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy that's like changing engines at the track, but I do.
Yeah, no kidding.
I do spend
insane.
spend a lot of time messing with the car.
Before we get into your other vehicles, there was a few other moments that I really enjoyed with the truck. Drag Week 2005 was a crazy moment for both of us, everyone involved that went to that event, because it wasn't normal. I remember standing in your garage and you opened up Hot Rod Magazine. You're like, what do you think about going here? I'm like, 5 days at the drag strip and you drive from track to track. That sounds like a lot of, I don't know, maybe? Sure?
Yeah.
If you're going, I'll go.
Yeah.
And how did that go? You brought your whole shop?
Well, yeah, the first year we're like, we don't know what to bring. And they allowed trailers, and they didn't have any limit on the trailer.
No rules.
And I had a car trailer. So I'm like, well, I got room for everything. So I just backed up in the garage and put every single thing that I had.
Were you a Boy Scout?
No.
Okay. Always prepared. You brought everything.
Everything I had. So
you had a welder? You had 2 drums of fuel or 1 drum of fuel?
It was 2 drums, but one was empty. It's just like so I could put the
swap gas
in one, and I don't remember. I think they didn't have E85 everywhere back then.
No.
So we had to put in race gas. And a welder, a torch, nuts and bolt bins and toolbox and jack, everything you could think of. The trailer was full.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a 20-foot car trailer. So,
with a big tarp over it.
Yep.
That was your theft deterrent device.
Well, yeah.
And then the next year they had trailer size rules because they're like, okay, this is a little ridiculous.
Well, I don't get that, though. Who cares? If your race car will tow a bigger trailer, who cares? And on that year, I think Scott was riding with me.
Yep.
And he was interested in other things. So as we're driving down the road with a trailer, and I think it had a 408, he's sitting there trying to do like lean fuel tuning and logging our mileage.
Yep.
We were getting like 15 miles a gallon towing the trailer on drag week, and he was all excited about that.
Insane.
Which was, interesting.
And there was like 42 cars, I think, on drag week.
Yeah, it wasn't very busy.
Were there 3 people in your class? Not many.
I don't remember.
Well, we didn't know what to expect. So we started at KCIR, and then you could trailer your car to the track, and it started in Kansas City and ended like in St. Louis, or
I thought it ended up in Kansas City.
It was in Michigan, Martin, Michigan.
It didn't come back?
No. The first year it did not come back. That's why all the trucks and trailers were following. Remember?
Okay. Yeah.
So you could leave your truck and trailer there, but it finished in Michigan, and then you had to come back to get your truck and trailer if you left it in Kansas City. After that year, they started and finished at the same track. I think that was the only drag and drive that started and finished a different track. Because you remember the last day we were in Michigan and it rained and we were all nervous about the one thing.
Was that the first year?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember if that was the first year. But
yes, it was. Because I remember pictures of the wagon. So there was this wagon in your class. It was a like 67 wagon.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Nova wagon with an inline 5-cylinder.
It was the coolest car there. I loved it.
For sure.
And to giant wheelies. I think it was a 6-cylinder.
Yeah, 6. Yeah, the Trailblazer have a 5 or 6?
His had the 6.
Okay.
So, and it was doing these giant 3-foot, 100-foot long wheelies. Beautiful car and an interesting motor. And he had the field covered by like a whole second. So I'm running like a low 10 or whatever, and he's running like an 890 or something.
Yeah.
Way fast.
Yeah. Got almost 2-second lead.
Yeah. Can you talk about this car? What's the deal?
For sure. We can talk about it.
Well, I don't know. There was something weird going on back then. But we got a notice from another racer, said William or Bill Fowler,
yeah,
I think, told us, you need to watch this car. I think something's going on. I don't think he's driving it. And we put one of our guys on it just to watch him. And you rode with him, right?
Yep.
Was that
It was the second last day. Someone hit us up and said, hey, we saw that car pull behind Walmart, and then we saw a truck and trailer leave later. We never saw the car again. And then people are like, there's no bugs in his radiator.
Yeah.
Turns out he was driving some of it, at least, because we followed him for a portion of it, probably 2/3 of it.
Yeah.
And it was such a crazy undercover ops.
Well, somehow it looked like he was like a mile away, and it was completely dark out, and you got a crystal clear picture of him loading his car up in the trailer, which is like the only rule. You got Freiberger up there. He's like, drive your car. You have to drive your car. He said it like 10 times. And that's like his biggest rule.
Exactly.
And
that was the whole idea behind the event, drag and drive event. That was the first drag and drive event. And
so he was the fastest in our class, and I was second fastest. And now we know that he was cheating for no reason at all. And
because it drove just fine.
Yeah, it did. And
Maybe
then,
didn't want to mess up the paint job. I don't know.
And we made it to the last event, and we were going to turn him in, and then the event got rained out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, God, I don't know. Can we turn him in now? Because
is there any point? Yeah,
we're not even racing today. But we went ahead and turned him in, and I think we ended up racing too.
Yeah, we
dried
did.
up. But so that's my first drag week win.
Yeah,
thanks to
the first drag week, you won that class.
I won small block power adder with a 1020. Which, what are they running now? Like 6s?
Or probably 6s, yeah. But following him, we literally followed him for probably 5 hours. We literally waited for him to have a steak dinner with his crew, sitting at a Sonic eating our food across the street. It was like this undercover operation, and it felt weird. But we're like, we got to find out.
Yeah.
And then he went and stopped at a rest area. So we stopped at the exit at the top of the road. And I was zoomed in with my little handy camcorder, zoomed all the way in, holding it really steady, just watching to see what happened. Had my inverter next to me with another battery plugged in for when it died. I was editing the video for the day on my lap. I'm just waiting. And then here comes the truck and trailer, and they sit there and BS for a little bit. And then the trailer left, and then the car left. I'm like, oh, they're going to do it. Oh, shoot. And they weren't supposed to follow each other, like trucks and trailers, try and make sure people were being fair. And then they drove for probably another 10 miles, pulled off on a country road, and we stopped short of that intersection. And I zoomed in probably a half mile, just watching, waiting for like 10 minutes. And they parked, the trailer was there, and the truck car was there just sitting there, and it was pouring rain. And then they opened the trailer, loaded it in. I'm like, oh my God, we got him.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they did it for safety. I don't know. That's fine. And then we left before they left, went to a rest area, and then they pulled in to the same gas pumps right next to us.
With the trailer? With
the trailer. I went inside, and I was like, hey, did you see so-and-so? We heard you, I don't know. And he's like, oh no, we haven't seen him for a while. So they lied to me about him. He was probably in the trailer. Like they literally just left the spot, came to the gas station. He was probably getting out of the car in the trailer or something. I don't know. I didn't see him in the truck.
Well, that was part of
and that's when we're like, okay, these guys are trying to hide it. Like it wasn't an innocent, it's raining, we don't want to drive the car.
That was part of the dilemma, was we got to give them time to turn themselves in, and they never did.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was our turn to turn them in.
Yep.
But when we got up in the morning at the hotel, they happened to be staying at the same hotel, walk outside, and the car's sitting in the rain right at the door, like, here it is, we drove it.
Exactly.
And we're like, well, they're probably not going to turn themselves in. Why would they take it back out of the trailer?
Yeah. That was an interesting moment. And that was our introduction to everybody at Drag Week. And now I'm friends with all these different people. But that's like a precedent that was set at the first one that gets brought up a lot of times about, you know, we're not going to mention any names, but don't be like that guy. I haven't heard of people loading up their cars other than that and like trying to cheat in the past. There's obviously other rules that have been made that people bend and whatever, but
sure.
Drag and Drive's evolved a lot. It's more of just a fun thing. It's not, some of them are still serious, but some of them are more just like a vacation with your race car friends. Pretty cool.
That's all it could be for me now, because everybody's so fast.
Yeah.
No way to be competitive.
It's tough. You still have that $100 bill?
You know, I tried to find it. I know I have it. I think I just put it in a book somewhere. So
it's in your library.
Yeah.
So you put up $100 to contest somebody, and if just like any drag racing rules that you think are broken, you put up $100. It's a little barrier, so everyone's not complaining about everything. And if you're right, you keep your $100. If they didn't break that rule, then they keep the $100. And so the hot rod guys all signed it and gave it back to us. There
was one individual that was like, "You didn't shoot the video, so you can't use it." and Freiberger was like, "That has nothing to do with anything."
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anyway, but Drag Week 2005, the first Drag Week, was so much fun. And it was just with a group of friends having a great time. And that was before all these other rules. Like, you know, I think we had 4 or 5 different people working on the car. It didn't really matter. It was more just you can't tow it.
Yep.
But you could bring your whole shop. Another memorable moment with the truck was going down to Kansas City, some crazy street racing down there. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember some of that. I don't remember a ton of it. I do remember, was it Perry?
Yes, Perry.
He was like the Delgado.
Yep.
He was
the instigator.
He'd talk shit, get people fired up, and line up races. And he's probably the one that lined up the race with that
Supra, maybe.
Well, I was thinking of a pickup. We raced a Lightning. One time for some money.
Yep.
And I don't remember. We beat him, but he had some excuse, like he broke or something.
Yeah.
I don't really remember racing the Supra.
That was one of the craziest races. It ended up in one of my DVDs. It was just like a side-by-side race, and he was getting squirrely. It was like such a good race. We stayed at Perry's house, actually. I remember. Had a lot of there was bikes he raced on the street. Trying to remember what else.
I remember driving from one location to get busted. We go to another one. So it'd be like 50 cars or whatever. And we're going like 100+ miles an hour.
That was the thing to do.
Everywhere.
Uh-huh.
And we drove past more than one cop with their lights off, sitting off into the side on the interstate. And I'm like,
That's just what you do in Kansas City. Everyone drives fast. They're crazy. They're crazy down there. We also spent a lot of time at KCIR as well. There were some good races. Like chasing the 9-second pass. Let's talk about that. So how long in do you run your first 10 with the truck?
Oh, it was pretty fast. I think with the first 76, it ran a 10.
Right when it was turboed.
Yeah.
That was at Scribner, RIP. They closed that track in like 04, 05.
I remember I got all the way down to like a 1060, and the track owner was like, I hate to do this, but you really need a roll bar.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, you gave me a lot of leeway. I can't complain about that.
Yep. I remember that. I think I maybe made a video you getting kicked out of the track, probably. Because then I remember that was the next step was putting the plexiglass in the back window. Yep. Putting the cage in.
And then for the longest time, tried to get a 9. Yep. Well, we went on one of the drag weeks, and I don't think it was the first one, but maybe. But at St. Louis, we effortlessly ran like a 10:05 or a 10:04. Yep. And we were like, should we get back in line and get that 9 out of the way or try? And I was like, no, we need to make it. You still got to drive, right? Yeah, this is like the second track or whatever. We got a long ways to go. Mm-hmm. And I think I went to the track like 15 more times after that to try and get a 9 and never was able to. And was always popping in a gasket or something.
Yeah.
At some point, I figured out that the block had a crack in it. So it would pop a head gasket it would run fine. I could dyno it. But then when I'd make a run, it would end up popping a head gasket. And then I'm changing it. And finally, one day I noticed that, there's a lengthwise crack in one of the cylinders. And I was like, oh, well, that's probably
explain it.
Probably a big part of my problem. So.
Speaking of blocks, you wore that 4.8 liter out. Remember that? We were at Sublime's dyno trying to blow that thing up. I think it made like 700 and some horsepower.
We purposely went there to blow it up one time.
It wouldn't die.
We could not blow it up, but it was because of the valve springs.
Oh.
We'd add more boost, and then the RPMs would just come down. And no matter what we did, we couldn't get it to make more power.
Die.
Back then, there was a story about that. I was on LS1 Tech, or I think or Performance Trucks, I don't know. And I asked for some money. I was like, I will go blow up my truck if I get enough money to cover the dyno. We'll turn it up and see what it can do. And there was like a group of individuals that really got angry that I asked for money.
Oh my gosh.
And I got like $150 to help cover my dyno time. And I'm like, well, I won't do that again.
Huh. Not worth it.
People were weird. Yeah, it wasn't worth it. And I just wanted to blow it up.
And then you didn't deliver.
Well, I didn't deliver. We tried.
Swindled them.
Well, I shared what we had. I share everything.
Yeah, exactly. So 10:04 was the quickest that truck ran on drag week at St. Louis.
Yep.
That's. I remember you ran I found a video. I think you ran a 10:09 at Kearney. A lot of 10:0s.
Yep, a lot of 10:0s.
Just never happened. And another video I ran into I think it was at Kearney, or no, it was KCIR. At the end of it, I put I called out Johnny Lightning in there. I was like, Johnny Lightning, better watch your back. I think he was like high 9s at the time. He wasn't super fast back then.
Seemed like he was a little faster.
Yeah.
More of a difference than a few tenths.
Yeah, it was at least a half second.
Yeah. Because I don't think it was it's like now I decided to build a real race car. And a couple of my friends were like, you're going after Joey? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like maybe 10 years from now.
He's a few years ahead right now. Yeah. You don't make moves like that.
No.
And then you went to Lightning Fest too. I remember that. That was...
yeah, they were super nice.
Yeah.
They didn't have any problem with me hanging out with them.
Chevy boy running alongside him. Beat a few Lightnings. There are also a few 8-second Lightnings there too. They weren't beatable. Ralph, I think it was when we met Ralph Voorhees. Filmed that guy for a long time. Like 850s with this Lightning. It was crazy. So whatever happened to Parish, what happened to the truck? I think that's kind of the truck, and the name kind of along with message boards, kind of disappeared at the same time.
Well, just like everything, I got tired of that project. I
Sure.
decided I want to work on something else. I listed the truck for sale, and I don't think it took a while for someone to buy it. And it ended up being some guys from Mexico. I don't know this, but I think they're probably drug dealers. They brought just a stack of cash and took the truck. It was like, I got good money out of it, like $30,000. And they traveled up here with that money in their pocket. So, and then I was able to find it racing in Mexico.
Remember. Yeah.
And it looked like it was racing on the dirt.
Uh-huh.
It was really sketchy.
And they do some crazy burnouts with it, right? They're like dry hopping it. And
yeah, it looked harsh. And that truck was complicated because it still had the Mega Squirt on it and not super easy to tune because it was, more than one computer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And at some point, they had messed up the tune. Oh. And they wanted me to go down there and fix it. And I'm like, I just keep hearing about these people getting their heads cut off or whatever,
Yeah.
And
people disappearing.
And he was like, we'll keep you safe. And I'm like, you know what? You get it over the border.
Yeah.
I'll meet you in Texas or something or whatever.
This is before remote tuning was really a thing. It's like 2007, 8.
I wasn't willing to risk it. It sounded like fun, but
they were probably the kind of people that would keep you safe, but not worth the risk when you don't know anything about them.
They were like super friendly, the nicest guys around.
If anybody knows where it's at, we'd love to know. That'd be crazy to see. I've always had this dream of making a clone of that truck. It'd just be cool to have something like that. I mean, it's so much easier to make them fast now. Mm-hmm. Like you've got off the shelf cookie cutter parts to run 9s pretty easily.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
I was helping Nick Dickey. You know who that is?
Yep.
He's got that red Silverado.
Yes.
I was helping him tune his truck, and it brought back some memories. And it was very easy to tune, and with the Holly stuff and boost controllers, and it's just so much easier.
So much easier than 20 years ago. Things have advanced quite a bit. So fast forward to today. Tell me, well, let's see. You sold the truck, and then was it the Fairmont that came after that? Is that your next project?
I don't remember the order.
You had a 350Z or something that never...
That never went anywhere.
Yeah.
I did an IS.
Well, you built the IS.
Did an IS 570, called it, which was a 5.7 LS with the rear mount turbo. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I don't have any numbers on that. I don't remember what it ran.
That was a cool build.
It was a neat car. I just love the dash and those things. It looked like a stopwatch, and it was a fun little car.
Made cool noises.
The Fairmont was a group project, and that thing was a ton of fun because nobody cared about it. Nobody had any real money in it, and anybody could drive it. We went out somewhere in Hibbs. Remember Hibbs?
Yeah.
He had donated a couple parts, and we were in Lincoln, and he's like, "You want to race that guy?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he just hops in it without ever driving the car. He's racing somebody and just like doing this long fishtail down the street as he's racing somebody in Lincoln.
He loved doing sideways burnouts.
Yeah. And the car, the car was like $300, I think.
Manila colored.
Yeah. We had our eyes open for a group project car, and we saw the Fairmont sitting at Sonic in Council Bluffs. And we just went into the building. We're like, whose car is that? And somebody was working there, and they're like, "Oh, I really like it." And they're like,
"Oh, it wasn't for sale?"
No, it wasn't for sale. We just looked for whose car it was. And the girl was like, "Oh, I need some money. I need like $300 for it." And we're like, "Oh, okay." But back then, that was probably all it was worth,
Yeah.
They were popular. And
the maintenance on that thing would be, yeah.
But they're basically a Mustang underneath, and everybody has Mustang parts laying around. So
didn't you build that as a Pink's car?
Not at first.
Okay.
But at some point, that was our goal. And we got an invite, and we're like, just tell us where to be. We'll be there. And they came up with a date and said, well, let's look at this date in Vegas or wherever it was. And we were like, okay, we'll be there. And then I don't know why, but they stopped doing it before that show got filmed. But
Did they move to the all-out format?
Mm-hmm.
That was right at that time as they split off to do the Pink's All Out.
But we had a hidden boost controller because they don't want you to get a computer out, right? It's not part of it. You can't be like tuning between rounds. So we had a boost controller and we had it hooked up to the blinker or the windshield washer. So you could put it like
no way.
The windshield, you could sit there and just move one finger and select 4 different boost levels. So like wipers off, wipers low, medium, high, and wash.
Oh my
and
gosh.
each bump was like another 50 horsepower. And we put the solenoid inside the boost tube, so you couldn't see it. We hit everything really well, I thought. You'd have to take the car apart to find it.
What? I've never heard of that.
And we're sitting on the dyno testing it, and we went from nothing straight to the 200. And the car was like, whoa, and then, whoa, the whole car picks up. We're like, nobody's going to notice that. And, but that show was all about like slow playing it or whatever, and then adding just enough to beat him. And it would have been hard because
there was a strategy for sure.
It's all about strategy. And all I know is we had some power. There's no way a camera would have picked it up because it was just one finger gave you whatever you wanted. And we were totally ready to give that car up.
Dang.
But that didn't happen. And we didn't really see any point. The car was pretty much maxed out in 5 different ways, and we would have to start over.
Yeah.
So we got rid of that.
So that was actually, I think, one of the first videos on my YouTube channel was the Fairmont. I think you guys were trying to blow up the stock engine or something. That was one of the very first videos I uploaded to YouTube. Was during that time frame.
Another engine that won't blow up.
Yeah. It started a fire, I remember.
Yep. That was Bama was in on that one. We had a nitrous bottle. I don't even remember. I think we had a solenoid, and it was just wired up so you just ground it. So you just ground it to the bottle or whatever, and it was spraying like 100 shot right into the air filter. And no matter what we did, we had like, it sounded like a machine gun shooting fire out of the top of the carburetor. And we ended up pulling the motor out, still running. We wasted a whole bottle of nitrous trying to blow it up. We pegged it for like 10 minutes and it wouldn't go.
Was it an LS?
No, that was the
stock engine?
The 4-cylinder, about a 2.3 or whatever.
Okay, it was before you put a new motor in there. You're trying to blow it up.
Mm-hmm. Everything was fun about that car, but just because nobody cared.
Yeah. Throwaway car.
Yep.
Literally.
Probably a little dangerous because one of us had to have insurance. So I plated it, insured it. Everybody's beating on it. And I'm like, these days I probably wouldn't do that.
Not with our stupid friends.
Yeah.
We knew how stupid they were back then, just not how risky it was as much.
Yeah.
We're wiser now, I think.
More risk averse when it comes to the law.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm any more risk averse in general. I just don't want to do something that's going to make my insurance triple or whatever, you know.
Yeah. You can't go out and street race stoplights over and over and over and over again anymore. This doesn't happen. Then the wagon was next. The
wagon, but that one, it wasn't quite as much fun because one guy was putting more money in it than other people, and then he cared about it, where on the Fairmont, nobody cared.
Yeah.
So that ended
You're
up
almost business partners at that point.
Yeah. And not equal partners.
Yeah. So that was a Nova wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Twin turbo LS.
Yep.
And that went to drag week, right? I don't think it made it past the first day.
I do remember him having a problem. I don't remember a valve spring or something.
Yeah. I remember big smoke trail, I think. I forget. Might be thinking of a different vehicle there.
We had the Fairmont did that where the turbo seal would just start leaking.
Maybe that was it.
It looked like a coal train.
Did the Fairmont go on drag week?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That might be what I was thinking about. Yeah.
That's where they did I think they called the junkyard dog. And they took a picture of it in front of a crusher.
Oh, yeah. At the junkyard.
Yeah. So
that's right.
That was a
little Hot Rod Magazine article. Feature. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I mean, it's still cool, but that was like the thing that car guys sought after was having their car in Hot Rod Magazine.
Dude, I had a Hot Rod subscription since I was like 12.
Yeah.
I got boxes of them at home. You know, I don't anymore, but so when I got a car in there, it was a big deal. Just having, you know, a little a little 1/6 of a page was kind of a big deal. But then to get a 6-page article.
And you used a small photo for Drag Week of the truck, right?
One of them, yeah.
You had a feature in later on, but the Fairmont was like 2-page spread.
Maybe 4.
It was like that photo was 2 pages, right? It was like a really cool photo. Pretty cool accomplishment.
There was a G8 that got a little section from Drag Week, and
I forgot about the G8.
The Fairmont got a few pages, and the truck got like 6 pages, I think. It was a lot.
Oh, Stinson find no.
And when the truck got in, they had just switched to a more creative format, and the writer was awesome. He described it like a blur and bugs on the windshield, and just the way he wrote the story, it wasn't just like a description of the truck. He made it really sound cool.
Like you're standing there looking at it.
And that's right when they started showing the people too. Rather than just a picture of the car, they would get a picture of the person. And I didn't know that. And I showed up in shorts and a T-shirt.
That's right.
And they're like, well, that's not going to make a very good picture.
Someone came to shoot it here in Omaha, right?
No, we had to go to Davenport, I think.
Oh.
Because they had where's the one where they just have a bunch of cars driving? Not Drag Week.
Power Cruise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you met up with a photographer for Power Cruise.
Yeah. And one of the hot rod guys lent me some pants to put on for the picture.
No way.
Yeah. And they were like 4 sizes too big. But I'm like, whatever, you know?
Makes for a memorable story.
Yeah. But just the way they just started writing cool articles, and I got in on that. So.
Oh, there it is. There's the Fairmont with all the cars behind it.
That thing is ugly.
It is ugly. Needs a little body work done to it. What was the quickest it ran? 9s?
9:49 for sure.
Yeah, mid-9 sticks in my head.
Like the Chevy badge?
23 years. Oh, yeah, the big-ass Chevy badge on the front. I forgot about that. Was there a nitrous purge in the middle of it?
No. I don't think we had any nitrous.
Oh, yeah, it was just boost only. Twin turbo. What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then when in that article, they described it as some silly color, and I think that was your line.
Really?
It certainly wasn't my line. Something like, I can't remember what they called it.
I got to pay to unlock the rest of the article.
It was a strange way to describe the car, but they attributed it to me, and I'm like, I didn't say that. I thought it was kind of weird.
That was a long time ago. That was like 2008, 2009. Yep. So let's fast forward to today.
Yep.
And if you guys have been watching the channel lately, you may have seen a no prep from a couple years ago and Ice Cream Cruise recently. You've got the Slime Green Mustang, New Edge.
Yep.
Where'd you get it from? It's a cool story of what the car used to be used for.
Well, I bought it from some guy in Michigan.
That's where you got it after our friend Chad.
And then, he got it from a handicapped guy.
I think his name was Chad.
Who raced it with, I don't think he had any use of his legs, and he was able to race the car with hand controls.
Yeah.
And I think that guy, the handicapped guy, was running like a 430 or something, maybe even faster.
He ran at COTS. We saw him there. I don't know if we saw him anywhere else. We saw him at COTS a couple times, and it was fast.
Yeah, I'm not that fast.
Yeah. What happened?
I'm getting there.
What was the combo when he had it? You remember?
Big block Chevy nitrous, like a 632 or whatever it is people use.
Mm-hmm.
So that really wasn't my style. Carburetors and all that stuff that's no fun.
That was your previous life.
And it was also on good tracks, I assume. So not what you could run around here, I don't think.
Yeah, our tracks, okay.
It's fun. I love it.
But if you're there for a no prep especially, it's a challenging track. But if you race there a lot, you have a little bit of an advantage knowing how to play the track.
I'm hoping that's me next year.
Unless you can't keep it straight. But you've solved that, right?
Maybe. We'll see.
We've seen some wild passes of you getting sideways at the 8th mile.
It's like 200 feet out. There's a bump. And but I've learned some stuff that I should try. We adjusted the rear suspension and got it to 60 better. But the Memphis Reigns guy suggested that we look at the dynamic position of the rear end, where it's at after you launch and after everything extends. And he's saying that some different settings might calm that bump down. And I'm like, well, that all seems really logical. So that's something to try. Plus, we're going to do giant wang like everybody's doing.
And you've tested a sheet metal wing already and saw some stability there.
Well, we have a drag wing, and I didn't want to adjust it without studying it a little bit more. And after reading up about it, we've had it in the wrong position ever since we've had the car. It's actually the position the car's in, the wing is running downhill at as you're going down the track.
So it's basically useless?
It's useless. It might even be creating lift. And,
shit.
According to ChatGTP and everything I can read, it should at least be flat. Well, while you're going down the track, it should be flat and a little bit of a wicker, or even uphill a little bit. So we adjusted that on the last day last year, and the car went straighter than it's ever gone.
But that was at Ottawa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so different track too.
We have not tested that at
I-29.
I-29. I still think it's going to jump. But we do have at least two other things to try to get over the bump. And it's my goal to run like 470s at I-29 when everybody else, at least people in my pond, are running like 490s, 480s.
Yeah.
That's
and you hit me up about racing a small tire. I was like, I'm going to try and make it faster. I don't know if I can get in the fours, but I want to race in a small tire. I'm like, okay, we'll see. You went and tested, it was like stuck at a 5.0, right? And then and I ended up letting you into the small tire anyway, and you did really good.
Well, everybody else did bad.
Partially.
But everybody keeps telling me that's drag racing, that's drag racing. I'm like, well, you can't bring a 490 car to a 430 race and expect to go very far. But I made it to the finals somehow. So that's pretty cool. And I won something, I think.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm happy just to win $100. So you usually just spend.
It's good to get something back.
Something, yeah.
But it's cool to see all the different. I remember, I think in the No Prep video from 2 years ago, that was my first introduction to your tuning program in the trailer. You got a really cool setup in there with like a 60-inch screen. And how many sensors? How many different pieces of data?
Well, on one display, we can show and be really clear. We can have 70 pieces of data, and they're like a 20, 30-inch wide chart with over time, like you normally see.
Sure. But
because the screen's so big, and with the Megalog Viewer, you can bring up 2 different pages and just tons of data. And it's crystal clear on a giant screen. You can really pack it up there. And that helps me because the memory, you just forget to look at stuff.
Sure.
Well, now you just start at the top. It's like everything that's important is up there at one time. And you just start at the top and you work your way down, and you're going to go past, the crankcase pressure. You're going to go past the fuel pressure. You're going to see everything. All you have to do is just start at the top and go to the bottom, and then go to the other side of the page and do it again. And
not many other people on a big screen tuning.
Yeah.
Not that I've seen, at least.
Well, before we were
wireless too, right? You pull up to the trailer and it just automatically loads everything up there.
Yep. But if you get within 20 feet of the trailer, it downloads it onto the laptop. You still have to open the file.
Sure.
But it pops right up there, and I think that's going to help us.
How many actual data points are you logging?
Everything.
Have you maxed it out? 70.
The screen, yeah.
Okay.
The screen, I maybe 120 different things that I display. But I mean, you're talking about 80 GTs.
Oh, sure.
Well, there's 8 channels right there, and different weather channels, and we have what I consider like one of the best computers there is. It's the Haltech R5. It has so many inputs that you just can't run out. We have shock sensors and laser sensors, and I could have
just using the Haltech right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You switched that right before that race, the No Prep, right?
No, I've been running Haltech the whole time.
Oh, okay.
I can run like 10 widebands if I want, one per cylinder. We tried that, and it's not as useful as I'd hoped. but we wanted to try.
Sounds like a lot of expensive costs and sensors.
When I bought them, it was $450 for a double controller and 2 sensors. Now it's like $750. They've almost doubled. So to get 4 of those,
holy crap!
You're looking at, I don't know, $3,000 to get 4 of them.
Wow.
Before it was like $1,800 or something. And still a lot, but it's gone way up. But the data, if you're doing 8 O2 sensors, they start out one's way rich and the other one's lean, and then they change positions, and then they change positions again, and you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to try and tune for that because they're just swapping. Sometimes you'd see one that was, that you could maybe adjust and bring it up.
Sometimes you don't need that much level of data.
Yeah.
So speaking of data, talk about your new shop. Been up there for a few years.
Yeah.
Upper Limits Dyno.
Well, I was an electrician for 32 years, and I know I don't want to do that till I die. For one thing, it's outside.
Yeah.
You're in the mud, or you're like 5 stories up in a building with no walls, no windows in the winter, and it's cold. So I used to go to Dyno Dan's, or what was it called? Can't remember the actual name.
Dyno Sport?
Dyno Sport.
In Lincoln.
Yeah, we used to take our stuff down there, and it was great because it was just a big party atmosphere.
Well, we were talking about earlier, we can literally go there at midnight.
Yeah.
Run all night.
We could get a car run at like 10 o'clock on a Friday, and I didn't want to schedule anything because you didn't know if it would run. And okay, it runs, it's not leaking. And well, let's see if Dyno Dan's around. And you text him, and he's like, yeah, bring it on down. So we'd be down there like 2 a.m. on Friday night, dynoing cars.
And then go street racing.
Yeah. And then just whatever. He was totally okay with it. And he had a bunch of couches, and he didn't care if people were sitting around. And it was just a fun environment. And
I probably spent over 100 hours watching your truck dyno at that shop.
He lost his lease and decided it wasn't worth moving. So we lost that. And I went to a couple other local dynos, and they were fine. They were fun, but it just wasn't the same. It didn't have that fun atmosphere. So at that point, I started thinking, well, maybe I'll get a dyno. And I came across one, and I just stuck it in a storage bay, and they let us. It was called a storage place, but it was actually a little bit of stuff running out of the building. And he let us set the dyno up in there, and did that for a year. And I can't believe he let us do that.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird.
In a storage garage.
Well, it was called storage, but there was like a plumber shop
areas,
running out of there, and a couple of people I knew had man caves there where they just did their car stuff.
Sure.
But and then Chad at Chad's Auto brought a car to me, and he liked what I did to it, and he was like, we can make a space over in our building, and I went over there, and he's got a really nice shop, and he was having problems. He would do stuff to cars, and having a hard time with the tuning part. He didn't want to do that. He didn't feel like towing them places and then waiting.
Yeah.
So it was advantageous to him to have me around, and it was super good for me to have a place to be. So
match made in heaven.
Yeah, we set up a really nice room there, and now I'm tuning cars.
That's sweet.
There's some stuff like Joey bring cars in, and some other tuners will bring stuff in there. That's my favorite part because no responsibility. You strap the car down, and you get to watch what they're doing, and you put your 2 cents in here and there, but generally you just hang out.
What's the highest horsepower you've made on your dyno?
My car.
Really?
And it made 1850, which is
nice.
Pretty hard to measure on a dyno jet. It's kind of borderline whether you get traction or not. The dyno's perfect for, I'd say 1,200, maybe 1,500 horsepower. You could do that if you know how to strap the car down and get good numbers. Above that, it gets kind of tricky. If I continue to get business, I think I'm going to get the all-wheel drive mainline.
Oh, the hub dyno?
Yeah, but the 4-pod setup.
Dang.
They're not as expensive as you'd think. The 3,000 horsepower 2-wheel drive is $61,000.
Okay.
And it comes with a lot of stuff.
So is it double that for 2 sets?
For the all-wheel drive, it's about $95.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't double in cost.
It doesn't double.
You've already got some of the equipment.
So I don't know if I get enough business.
You got to get a lot of dyno time on that thing to pay for that.
It's not about that. I can't do my own car very well anymore. So that's a big part of it. I mean, I could justify spending $20,000 just so I could do my own car. So that brings the price down some.
What's the setup in your car?
It's a LT. It's the specific LT is the iron block that they started putting in the 3/4 ton Silverados. They didn't make that until like 2000.
Okay.
So it's stock iron block, stock crank, stock LT4 heads. They're just dropped on there. And then good rosin pistons and valve train stuff.
Dang.
To me, that's crazy power.
1,800 horsepower.
1,800, and then at the track, the last day I went to the track, we did 163 on slicks.
In the 8th mile.
In the 8th mile, which I think that's pretty fast for a slick with all those parts, stock parts. And I really think it'd do a couple hundred more. So, but you don't know, till you try.
What's your quickest ET in that car so far?
463 at 163.
You've been in the 60s now.
Yeah, but with that mile per hour, everybody's like, that should be like a 440.
Yeah.
And I think it should be.
Should I get the short track down?
Yep. We need to work that.
Dang.
And not just the 60 foot, but the first second and a half. I think we can really pour some more power in there. So.
Got the track for it.
I think we do it at Ottawa.
Yeah.
I think
that is a really good surface up there.
Yeah. I think it's got a 440 at like a 449, at Ottawa. Beyond that, I don't know. We'll see what it'll do. But we haven't done that yet. So I shouldn't act like it's a guaranteed thing, because it's not.
Totally separate topic before we wrap this up. I was strapping into Garrett's helicopter ice cream cruise, and we had just started taking off, and I have this vivid, like I was a little nervous about skydiving out of his helicopter, and I have this vivid memory looking out, and you're standing on the little straightaway there, just like jumping up and down. I'm like, yeah! I've never seen you so excited. That got me amped up. That was a crazy moment.
That was fun. It was fun to watch you go up. I remember being that fired up at, I don't know, drag week. There was a run where I think it was John was racing somebody. It was in the Fairmont, and he decided it was some sort of bracket race type thing
at the end,
or index race.
Yeah. And
he decided at the very last second that he thought he might be going too fast, so he stabbed the brakes. And the other guy broke out by like 0-1, and we ended up winning our class. And everybody was just like screaming and jumping up and down. And
hell yeah.
Generally, I don't get that excited for my own stuff, but that was fun to watch you go up.
It was a crazy moment for sure. That was well, how was Ice Cream Cruise for you, just as a whole experience?
It was amazing. It was just so crazy. Everything going on. I think I only saw about half of it.
Yeah, you can't see it all.
We were there the whole time, and I'm like, we should have got on the dyno. That would have been fun.
Oh, sure.
I think wasn't the highest number like 1,100 or something?
Yeah, Garrett put down something like that. I think 11. And he missed the cutoff because we have to do the awards at 7. So he was trying to beat his Parker, his brother's record that day. And so he was waiting in line, and then finally got on there at like 650 or something like that. And he beat him by, I don't know, a few hundred horsepower. And then his brother got the award because the cutoff was already done. Yeah. Huh. We've had that happen a couple of times, but you saw more of the show because you weren't waiting in line for 2 hours. So there's that.
When we were pulling up to race, well, I can't see anything in my car. The windshield is all blurry and scratched up, and the hood's too tall and the seat's too low. And I'm driving up to the starting line, and it's just driving through a mob of people. And
you can see. Yeah. You can see that mob of people right here.
It's almost that thick driving in the staging lanes up to the starting line. And the people, they get out of your way slowly. Yeah. And if you just creep, it's okay. But the visibility is so bad, and there's not a lot of lights there. And the headlights on my car are terrible. And It was
pretty much a full on race car.
Yeah, it was crazy pulling up. And then you're racing in front of that crowd.
Yeah.
Which is just amazing.
I'm guessing there's 9,000 people in that photo, at least from last year. We had about the same crowd this year.
One thing I am surprised about myself is once you get up there, you forget about all that.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I've done this before. I got to make it run. And you don't even notice. And I was next to a car that was just deafening on one of my races. And I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work. But as soon as we lined up and Mike backed me up and stuff and we were doing our thing, I didn't even hear him again.
Just locked in.
Yeah. So at some point, I've always been kind of nervous about doing new things.
A podcast.
Yeah, like a podcast. And I'm like, well, what's the worst going to happen?
Isn't bad.
And same with drag racing. I haven't entered a lot of events. And I kind of wish I'd grown some balls a little earlier. I probably would have done a lot more fun stuff. But,
never know till you try it.
Yeah. But now I want to go race some more. Go to some tracks.
What is the future for Parish?
Just have fun. We're not looking
enjoy
to
retirement.
Yeah. Not looking to set the world on fire and definitely not looking into going broke, building a race car. But I do know there's a couple events at I-29 that we could have won. And I would like to win them.
Want some redemption.
Yeah.
Be racing at some no preps.
I wanna go down there and like the road course.
Oh yeah.
Racing.
Master that surface.
I think we could do pretty good there with some effort.
Asphalt.
But there's also the same guy, Bryant.
Yep.
Put on
Travis.
the limited small tire, which is perfect for us. That blocks out Joey. Casey Max could go if he wanted, but I don't think there's enough money there.
What's the main rule that keeps him out?
It's nothing. But it keeps Joey out. Well, not even Joey now, because he got a small block.
Oh, okay.
But it was no twin turbo big blocks, no billet small blocks. So actually, he could go there. Crap.
Nah, and he's making more power now.
Yeah.
Insane.
He said he was making like 3,800 horsepower or something crazy. I don't know. That's a lot.
He told me for the ice cream cruise race, like, I'm putting a LS back in it, so I'm going to be a lot slower. And now here he is doing all this crazy horsepower with it.
What did he run, a 4.0 something?
Oh, I forget.
I didn't know he's fired up. Well, as fired up as he gets, about trying to get that 3. And he's going to Texas. He might be down there right now. Who knows? Trying to get a 3 before anybody else.
He's a motivated racer. He's been doing some cool things. Yeah, 406.
Yeah.
According to AI, is his current 184 in the 8th mile. That's ridiculous.
That is. When I made my last pass at 463, it felt like a top fuel car to me.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what is it like racing something that quick?
Well, I don't want to make it sound like it's quick because everybody's crazy fast. But
a mid-high 4 is freaking fast.
It was just like, bop, done. And I'm like, wow, what was that? It was so fast. It happened so quick, and it just pins you, and then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no driving on that one. It just went straight.
What's it like when you do have to drive? Because you got real freaking close to that guardrail.
Well, I don't know. I think half the time I'm driving because because I screwed up.
Mm.
I'm maybe drifting off the line or off the, whatever you call it. I'm getting out of the groove.
Yep.
And if I drove better to start with, and that might be part of the reason it worked out, because when we went to Ottawa, it was daytime. I could see really well.
Yep.
So my goal over the winter is a new windshield, a new visor, all new windows, whatever I could do to help me see better.
Your clarity will get you there.
I want to be able to see better. And it's not like I'm blind.
Do you want to talk about your aerodynamic thing you're going to try, or you want to wait until
sure.
Yeah.
It's a Wang like everybody else has.
Big Wang.
But I got the biggest one they had, the biggest in-stock one, which is like a 72-inch.
From 9 Lives?
Yep.
Yep.
And it's not as big as you think. I thought, well, this is going to be enormous, but you put it on the car, and it's not that big. And it's just a tuning tool. It's not something we're going to run all the time. I want to be able to just drop it on the car. And some people attach it to the rear end, and they just weld a stem on the rear end and run it up. And I like that idea better because the people that are putting it in the back, yeah, they get the added leverage, which is what they're going for, but they also get wheelie problems at the top. And at 170 miles an hour, that wang has like 1,000 pounds of downforce. So
we saw what happened with Billy's car.
Yeah. 1,000 pounds at your bumper or even behind your bumper, like some cars. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, it's pushing right down.
But instead of attaching it straight to the rear end, we're going to run it through some, they're called linear bearings. It's just imagine a bushing that a pipe goes through, and it'll push on the rear end.
It slides right through the bearings.
It'll slide through the bearings from, above the back window and just push on a pad on the rear end. So we'll get all the force on the rear end, but the rear end can shake and rock or whatever it needs to do, and it won't shake the heck out of the wing, which is
interesting.
Which is one of the things I worry about when I see someone just welding like a 4-foot pipe to their wing, to their rear end. Well, that rear end's got to be just shaking. The vibration's got to be crazy.
So you literally just take the wing and pull it straight out.
Well, we'll have to put some sort of lock in there to keep it from coming out. But yeah, it'll just.
But not being bolted on is going to give it some ability for the rear end to shake, tire shake.
Yeah.
Without vibrating the crap out of the wing.
And the force won't go to the body.
Yeah.
So the springs won't have to be adjusted. None of that. You just
straight to the tires.
You just slide the pipe right through the bearings and mount the wing on that. And I don't think you have to change any of your suspension settings. Like those guys with 1,000 pounds of force 2 feet behind their wheels, that's got to mess with their spring rates and all kinds of stuff. Maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know.
I mean, they're going pretty freaking fast.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see how it goes, though.
I don't want to do wheelies. I don't know if what was the guy's name that did the giant wheelie?
Billy Hoskinson.
How much power is he making?
Oh, God. I don't know if he's ever posted a dyno. 2,500 plus. Yeah.
So he's
3,000-ish.
Oh, so a lot.
A lot.
See, I might not even be in the same realm where I need to worry about it. But
probably not.
I do want to get over 2,000 at some point. They had a billet LT block at PRI for a complete motor from LME, $40,000. And I'm like, okay, never mind.
How much you got in the block and the heads on your combo?
The block is like $1,800. Yeah. The heads are $1,400 for the pair. So
that's a big barrier entry to that power level.
I got a lot of money in lifters.
For sure.
The lifters are $1,000. Some of that stuff, though, like rods, they're not expensive. Pistons aren't expensive. So much of that stuff doesn't cost much. Mm-hmm. But fuel injectors, $2,500, Some of that stuff is nuts.
It's crazy. But it's a lot easier to go fast now than it was in the Parish days.
Well, I mean, my motor's tons of stock parts. Just the stock block, crank, heads, and I think it'll do 2,000 wheel. I think it might do 170 in the 8th. That's kind of my goal.
Crazy.
But
I appreciate you being on the podcast. How was the first podcast you've been on?
I think it went well.
It's like hanging out.
Yeah.
It was a little over an hour, I think.
We'll see what
hour and a half.
We'll see what you do with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on here. Where can we find Upper Limits Dyno? Is it on Facebook? You got a website?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I don't update my page as much as I should.
That's all good, as long as they can find it. Your address is on there. I just went there today and checked it out.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff. If you need a dyno in the Omaha area, check them out. They're in Springfield.
We have flexible hours. Like, I'd rather work on the weekends than weekday.
Perfect.
So
cool. Well, thank you, Jim. Parish on Talkin Shift. If you guys haven't already hit subscribe to our channel for more Talkin Shift and anything 1320 video brings you, we'll see you next time.